10 Signs that Mr. Right is Mr. Wrong. For many of us, this world that we live on is a sphere of love that we search inside of for our soulmates. We go round and round hoping to find that one true love that we can trust, share with, tell our life secrets to, and grow old with happily. I am a hopeless romantic, and even I must say, if it were that easy to find the right one to spend your life with, there would not be so many divorces or dating services. I am about to share pieces of my story with you and the wisdom I gained through an utterly awful love experience that can help you identify Mr. Wrong even when he seems like Mr. Right. First of all, we would never marry Mr. Wrong if we knew that is who he truly was. I think about my parents who were married for 48 years before my mother passed away, and 40 and 50-year marriages have become an endangered species, so to speak, in our society. There is still no reason why you and I can't have this, so let's work together to preserve sacred marriages full of love and long-lasting happiness. Every relationship has trials, but the trials are what should make the relationship stronger as they gain strength. Going through the situations that display they have the true power glue of unfailing love. I was married for 9 years when I got my first divorce after being separated for 2 years. 9 years and 2 children later, my dreams of love and a happy family with parents that grow together was shattered. When I first got divorced, I had no desire to ever enter another marriage as the pain of my breakup was just too devastating. I lived a modest life raising my children and not even really dating. I am glad to say that my ex-husband and children's father and I have grown to be great friends over the years. I lived single and celibate for 8.5 years before I met the disaster that almost killed me. There were definitely signs that my Mr. Right was Mr. Wrong, but I ignored them because my loneliness and desire to be in love caused me to ignore every warning sign I received. Someone once told me that the Nile, or denial, is not just a river in Egypt. I swam in the waters of denial for a long time, and I found out that excess water just makes you heavy. I met my husband that I divorced after marrying him after almost 9 years of being alone. I was married to him for almost 3 years, most of which was in an unhappy or separation mode. I physically separated myself from him after about a year of marriage, but you don't have to live at different addresses to be separated. For much of the time I was with him, I was alone. When I met him, he really wasn't my type, and I wasn't even physically attracted to him. He was so charming and intriguing though, and I fell in love with his mind, his speech, and his ambition. He gave me so much attention, which I was starving for, and told me everything I wanted to hear. He said all the right things and melted me with his words. It was like he had a roadmap to my heart. I met him on February 22, 2006, and married him on September 16 of that same year. At the time I didn't know what a mistake I was making. Neither did I know the stranger I was marrying. Since we had a long-distance relationship, I ended up quitting my job, selling everything that I owned, and I uprooted my children and moved to Arizona to be with him. We spent so many hours on the phone getting to know one another that I thought I knew him, but I didn't know him at all. I met him while he was on a business trip to Houston, where I lived at that time, and I had no idea that he wasn't from where he said he was from because I found out that he was from hell. He romanced me with his words. He told me that he wanted to be with me, and needed me to come be with him. He answered my questions to him about what his views of being a husband was with perfect synchronicity, and he made me feel loved and beautiful. My mom and dad even accepted him as their own son because I loved him so much. My dream man soon turned into a nightmare birthed out of what seemed to be a multiple personality disorder. I don't think he has ever been diagnosed with that, but I experienced that with him firsthand. When I first met him, he told me that he was 27 years old, and I told him he was too young for me since I was 35. He then convinced me that age didn't matter, and I agreed to marry him. When we went to get the marriage license the day before we got married, I discovered that he was really 42 and not 27. We got into a huge argument because he had lied about his age, and I had went through many mental adjustments to be able to marry a man that I thought was 8 years younger than me when he was really 6 years older than me. Since he was a big-time music producer, he told me that his publicist had created the younger identity for him, which was normal in the business, and that I was making a big deal out of nothing. Though he minimized this, I knew in my heart that it was a big deal, because he should have told me the truth, being a woman he was about to marry. All the wedding plans were in place, and I loved him so much that I forgave him and went on with the marriage. This was the worst thing I ever could have done in my life. I truly regret the day I ever laid eyes upon this man. I can't even really call him a man, because he is a monster. I have found him to be a pathological liar before, during, and after the marriage, only giving pieces of truth but complete lies about everything. He had me sign a contract on a $400,000 house he said he would pay for when he didn't have any money. He had me trying to buy a car for him when he didn't even have a driver's license. He wouldn't tell me anything much about his past, and would never tell his mother about me or let me talk to her. He didn't even invite her to the wedding. This man also had children that he wouldn't allow me to meet, even though my children met him, knew him, and lived with us. I can't tell you in this article everything that I went through with him, but I can tell you that this man almost caused me to lose my mind. I spent what seemed like endless days of sorrow and depression. I loved him and believed in him. I forgave him over and over again for the lies and mistreatment. I served him home-cooked dinners on a tray in bed every night and treated him like a king while he treated me like a whore or some kind of peasant. At one point, when we were supposed to be buying a house together, he gave me an EIN number for his social security number and had me applying for credit for him illegally. He never owned up to any of his wrongs and always blamed everything on me. Though I wanted to share our love intimately, he denied me of sexual relations and made me feel less than a woman. My mom and dad loaned him thousands of dollars that he never paid back even to this day, and now my mom is dead. He promised to repay me a loan I gave him since I needed the money to travel out of town for my mother's funeral. He agreed to meet me at his office and pay me the money when I was on my way to prepare my mother's body, but he stood me up and would not answer his phone when I called. I even loaned him money on a promise to repay, and he hasn't repaid as of yet. My dad and I co-signed for loans for him that he has defaulted on, ruining our credit, and he even fought me every step of the way in divorce, even asking that I pay part of his debt. I gave him numerous opportunities to divorce me where I footed the bill, and he would never comply, always putting off what needed to be done for the divorce. He prolonged the divorce and caused me much trouble. If I stated all that he did in this article, you wouldn't even believe the evil I have had to face. This man lied to me, my family, and my children, and still lives as if he has done nothing wrong. After we made love on our wedding night, he refused to have intimate relations with me, and remember that I had been celibate for almost 9 years and wanted nothing more but to love him completely. I am writing this article mainly to women so that they can pick up on the signs that a supposed Mr. Right in their lives may be Mr. Wrong. You might have Mr. Right, and if so, I wish you all the best. You also may be being deceived, so here are the 10 signs I have come up with that Mr. Right may be Mr. Wrong. He talks a good talk, but doesn't have the actions to back up what he says. He refuses to introduce you to his family. He won't share his financial information with you or get a joint bank account with you. He claims to love you but doesn't want to kiss or make love frequently. He lies to you about important information, such as his age or social security number. He won't take you out on dates and romance you after verbally romancing you. He is not financially stable. He won't tell you about his past and his upbringing. He doesn't have a good relationship with his mother. In spite of all the good, he says you have a bad feeling in your gut. I hope these 10 signs help you. Get to know someone in a deep way before you make a lifelong commitment with them. Don't accept "I'm sorry" for major lies. Make sure that love words are matched by love actions. Follow your intuition. Most of all, make sure that the person you hook up with truly loves God and has their own personal relationship with Him, with a dedication to treat you according to biblical standards. Please feel free to email me for sound advice and prayer. I will be releasing a book in the future that tells this full story in detail, called An Angel of a Bride and a Devil of Groom. No anticipated release dates have been set as of yet. I married a con man and was almost destroyed by it, but now I am building a new heart from broken pieces. Justice has not been done, but I believe it will be in the days to come.